Okay, so today, being as it's only a short time after Christmas and all that, we're going to talk about items you can find in your Dungeons and Dragons games. This is another Dungeons and Dragons video of how to correctly really do it right. And I'm going to use a roller that I'm going to use. There's going to be a link of in the drop down for you to use, but this is just one thing I made a long time ago. Uh, anyway, and wouldn't you know it, the very first thing I rolled was Potion Bomb of the Lesser Demon. Basically, it's a jar that's pitch black, and you can't see what's inside it. And you pull out the cork, and then you throw the jar, and the jar shatters. And then instead of you having to chant a spell to make a lesser demon appear, a lesser demon is just there suddenly. And the way you can know which one of those exactly it is you look in the monster manual and you find lesser demon, and you'll find that they're arranged from least to greatest. And at least in the editions that I use, there it's least, lesser, and then some other things, and then greatest or something along those lines. And basically, it's just get a demon minion for free by throwing a potion bomb. And next we have the Shield of Spectral Sound, which is a fighter item that's a shield you equip on your arm like you would normally. Um, but whenever you're in combat, it makes ghost noises to demoralize your opponent. And while they are real ghost noises in the sense that they are like have some of the same effects a ghost making a noise would have. They're not a banshee keen or anything like that that actually does like immediate death to you or anything of that nature. Um, and you believe makes grumbling, grinding, spooky noises that scare the enemy until the enemy's morale starts plunging slowly, steadily. So, effectively, mechanistically, how you would do this is for every single round that you're in combat, your opponent has to make a save versus demoralize. After they've, naturally they get a couple free passes at the very beginning, like the first 2 or 3 turns, maybe, perhaps. But once the certain number of turns is hit, there it's beyond their endurance, and they have to roll to save versus demoralization, which would mean they are uh, demoralized and flee in fear. And the next item we'll be talking about, by the way, they flee in fear from the shield if they fail to save. If they pass the save, they stay and continue to fight. The next item we'll be speaking about is the Dust of Depression. Is light brown dust that looks kind of like sawdust, and it comes in a black bag. And you take it out, and need to be wearing gloves when you handle it. And you take it out and you throw it on your enemy, and then your enemy's clinically depressed after that. So they have a lot of penalties after that. I'll leave it to you exactly what penalties they would have. You have another fabulous, highly useful potion bomb. The Potion Bomb of the Kraken. Probably the most expensive potion bomb in the game. Basically, what it does is you uncork it and you throw it, and it hits water. And it has to hit water, and it has to hit a body of water that's big enough to house a Kraken. But when you throw it in the water, there's a lot of boiling and bubbling in it. The water is very obviously reacting. You don't need it even. It's a big reaction. You don't even need a notice check to see it. It's very obvious that something happened. And then soon after that, a Kraken is present suddenly. Alive, probably hungry, and probably not the happiest creature in the world because it's been shrunk and stuck in a bottle for who knows how long. You don't control this creature though. So this is the weapon you use to throw it and get away as fast as you can, because you don't want to have to fight it. Because Kraken is probably one of the most dangerous sea monsters in the game. Has like 18 attacks around or something like that. And for a final item, we have a very interesting. It's mainly a lore item that doesn't actually do anything for the player, but may advance certain skills if they have them, or may grant a skill if they are smart enough, or other such considerations are in play. Tablet of Cosmic Lore. is a stone tablet with writing on it that contains lore about how the universe was made, what the gods actually did, why they did it, that kind of thing. It's the sort of thing that only a few sages in the world would know. It might also be written in an antique or deceased language, so you might have to actually have a sage of languages or certain spells to be able to read it. But basically, what it would do is hard to say exactly what it would do because it depends on exactly what the lore says. But theology lore, lore of deities, lore of the creation of the world, lore of the very early history of the world, that kind of stuff is what you would find in it. But it's not just the one world you're standing in, it's the whole universe. Not just. So it's like finding this thing that tells you exactly what Zeus did when he created Mount Olympus, for example, or finding this thing that tells you, what Narla Hotep did in the first 5 minutes of his existence, or stuff like that. That's like I'm unclear on exactly what its benefit would be, but there are some skills that it actually would advance, and you might also get experience, or it might count as an automatic milestone or something like that too if you do the milestone system. Which for me, I use both of them. But yeah, I stated in another video that my stuff is better than Wizards of the Coast stuff, and frankly, it is. So to prove that to you, I've decided to leave a link in the drop down to the roller that I used, and I welcome your use to it, and I welcome your use to the rest of the. I welcome your view of the rest of the site as well.